Well, thanks for joining for just a few more minutes to follow up from Sunday. I hope you've been, I don't know, enjoying is an odd word because this is an interesting part of Romans where Paul is kind of defining the pit, as I like to call it. He's really kind of trying to help us think through, is there anyone on earth, anyone? Doesn't matter what your religion is, where you came from, what nationality you are, which God you worship. Is there anyone on earth who's righteous? Is there anyone who's going to be able to stand before God on the basis of fill in the blank? So the pit that he's creating, that he's trying to show the church at Rome and us, right? This is written to them, but for them and for us too, is leading up to, Christ. It's leading up to the reality that Jesus is the only one whose righteousness can be sufficient and is sufficient for us. So, as we talked about on Sunday, he's really looking at now the Jews. And the Jews had, by God's choosing and selection, which he blessed Abraham with, and then Isaac and Jacob, who is renamed to Israel. And that's where we get the term Jew from, his fourth son, Judah, who locates in Jerusalem, that tribe, along with Benjamin. They became known as the Judahites or the Jews. And so that's where this term comes from, and still to this day. So it makes good sense as you listen to Paul, who himself was a Jew, tribe of Benjamin, as he refers to the Jews who had the very laws of God. Aren't they righteous? They have the very words of God. And he makes the grand explanation that, listen, just because you have all the right and good rules doesn't mean you can keep all the right and good rules. In fact, God didn't give them to you so that your righteousness could come from them. He gave them to us so that we would know what righteousness looked like and what the standard looked like, knowing that we would indeed break them. So I wanted to spend just 5 more minutes on a passage, or a couple minutes, pointing to Jesus' affirmation that in the end, when you stand before him, what you don't want to do is think in your mind you're going to start quoting your good behavior. Why should I let you in my heaven? He might say. In fact, he does say that. And then you watch these handful around him. They begin to talk about what they've done, and that's not a good thing. This comes from Matthew chapter 7. He's rounding out the close of the Sermon on the Mount, chapters 5, 6, and 7 in Matthew. And he's getting to the point, right after this passage, he'll talk about building your house on the rock, right? And he is the rock. But there's this great little passage where he creates that scene, and there's heaven. And, well, listen, this is Matthew 7:21. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, will enter the kingdom of heaven, but the one who does the will of my Father who is in heaven. So now he's got this wonderful scene that he's created and captures our imagination that, hey, I'm going to talk to Jesus and I'm going to call him Lord, Lord, and then I'm in, right? And then he explains, on that day many will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and cast out demons in your name and do many mighty works in your name? So what do? They start quoting their works. What did we do? We did prophecies, we prophesied, we cast out demons, we did all these mighty things in your name. And then he points out that it won't be on the basis of what you do, what you did. It'll be on the basis of whether you know him or not. And equally as important, whether he knows you, right? And so he says, they will say to me, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name and cast out demons in your name and do many mighty works in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. And so you have this beautiful alignment in Scripture that even in the end, if you think you're going to say, hey, listen, I did all these good things, he warns them and says, it won't be on the basis of good things. And I love the fact that it's him who's standing there. I mean, he says, in or out, in my heaven or not in my heaven. And the wrong thing to do, of course, the wrong way to live your life is to think that something that you do somehow qualifies. It doesn't. Here's the qualifier. I know him. You know him, and he knows you. And that's exactly what he points to. To know God is to believe on him, and he lives in you and with you. And that's the only qualifier for heaven. Take that into what we have coming up here now, Holy Week, upon us in just a week. And that's a good thing to remember. Not on the basis of what you do, it's on the basis of what he did for you.